Good morning.
Hope you guys had a good weekend.
We made it to another Monday.
We made it to another Monday. Fasting day.
What's funny, though, is because we didn't go out on Friday because it snowed, so we canceled our plans to go out for happy hour. And then we didn't have parties or anything to attend all weekend, so we ate, whole food, what we eat at home all weekend. Yeah. So I don't feel, usually on Mondays, I'm like, oh, thank goodness it's fasting day. I don't feel that way today because I don't feel bloated from the weekend.
Which is funny because it's not like when we do say, oh, thankfully it's Monday, it's not like we ate terrible.
No.
I mean, we might have went out on Friday night or something like that, and had something, but usually it's just that. It's not like it's continuously bad eating and thank God it's Monday.
Right.
So it's like if we eat one thing that's off the plan, we're like, when's fasting day? Right. So that's kind of funny. Yeah.
It is funny. But so today's fasting day, and I don't feel like I need it to be fasting day, which is a nice change. How was your workout today?
I had a good workout today. Did my cardio blitz, and then I did back and calves.
Okay, good. And you got done quick, too?
I got done quickly. Well, I do that superset thing in the beginning of back. I think that's really probably pushed my back workout 15 minutes quicker.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, I know you do.
I did arms today, and then I did core. Couldn't think of the word. I did core. And I did my core fast enough that it also doubled as cardio. So it got my heart rate up.
So you did it in an aerobic style.
I did aerobic style core. So yeah, I had a good workout today. Good morning, Chuck. It's good to see you. Haven't seen you on here in a while. Yeah. So we wanted to talk to you guys. We watched the Starch Solution. It's a lecture by Dr. John McDougall.
Yes.
And so we watched that, and it's very interesting because it's very scientific. It's a very dense lecture. We found it on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, so it was on YouTube. If you want to watch it, it's about an hour and a half long.
It was done in 2010. I think it's important to mention that.
Yeah, but he has some very good points. He talks about how starch, i.e. carbs, have become villains in today's society. And he talks about the science on how all of the, what does he say? All large populations of healthy people through all verifiable human history have been primarily starch eaters.
Right.
And he talks about how the Middle East, it was barley, and the Mayans ate corn, and the Near East, it was wheat. In South America, it was potatoes and quinoa. In Asia, it's rice, and in Africa, it was millet. And I thought that was really interesting that he's talking about how starch, i.e. carbs, have been the main human go-to source for food and energy for basically all of human history. Ever since we stopped being hunter-gatherers and we started actually growing food, we were growing starches. And these people were not obese, like they just weren't.
And he even mentioned the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators.
Well, when the archaeologists have discovered them and done the research.
And they study their hair.
They discovered that they basically were mostly barley eaters.
They were called barley men.
They basically said they didn't eat any meat.
So that was interesting to me. That
and
the
these
gladiators,
are guys.
And then I guess some people have said, well, they must have been fat because they were eating all carbs. And so Dr. McDougall went in search of fat gladiators, like pictures of fat gladiators, and he could find none. They all look like amazing specimens.
And we're talking about paintings and artwork and statues and whatever that were about the gladiators. You never see any like that big.
They're not obese.
Sumo wrestler guy or something like that.
Nope, they're not. The other thing he said that I thought was really, really interesting is that when you eat whole food plant-based and you base your life on starch, which is the grains and the beans and all of the plants that aren't vegetables and vegetables like green vegetables and fruits. So all of the dense, heavy, he calls them storage foods because the point of the food is to store the energy for the plant to be able to grow a new plant in the spring.
Right.
So beans, seeds, potatoes,
very high energy foods.
High energy foods.
Right.
And he says if you're eating those things along with other fruits and vegetables, this is not best case scenario. You lose weight, you go off your medications, your blood pressure goes down, your diabetes gets better, your cholesterol gets better. That's not best case scenario. You should expect those results.
Right. So, and he compared it to like taking drugs where they say you might experience these benefits or these results. He says you will get these benefits, you will get these results.
It's not maybe. And that's what I really like about this is that I can guarantee if someone eats the way that we eat, they will reach and maintain their healthy body weight without being hungry.
Right.
And that for me is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And, if you look at all of these diet plans where they send you food or they, give you shakes or whatever, they all have examples of these extreme success stories,
right.
but they in tiny little print say, this is not normal.
This is not typical.
This is an exception to the rule. Whole food plant-based eating is not an exception to the rule.
Right.
If you do it, you will be healthy. That's
right.
just the way it
right.
is.
You can expect these results. That's
Which
good.
I thought that was really, really
right.
cool.
Right.
So I think that
now,
we need to stop being afraid of carbs.
Yes, I agree. And really, this whole talk, what I took out of it was his argument against the low-carb diet, right?
Right.
Because basically, the low-carb diet talks about
straight meat and fat.
Right, no carbohydrates. And his argument is that society has lasted for 10,000 years with its main source of food being starch.
Which
so
is
it contradicts
carbs.
the no-carb diet. Right.
Yeah, so something to consider is that you have to be careful about cutting out any food source entirely as far as because the way that we think about food now is protein, carbs, fats. And so when people say, "Oh, well, you're not eating you're not eating meat. You've cut out a food source." No, that's a protein. We do have protein. Lots of beans and legumes and fun stuff like that.
Rice,
Chuck's
corn.
asking, still be wary of enriched flour. Yes, because enriched flour is basically flour where they've taken everything good out of it and then added some vitamins back in.
Right.
So that's a very processed food.
Right.
So what we're talking about is as minimally processed as possible.
Right. Whole grain, whole food, real food that has minimal processing to it. And a point that a lot of these things we've seen, they say, sometimes you have to buy products that are in bags.
We do. Our pumpkin seeds come in bags, or sunflower seeds come in bags.
So that means they have some processing to it. But it's what they take out of it is what you have to be concerned with, right? So if you're taking like the bleached flour, they've taken everything good, like Robin said, out of it, and then had to fortify it because people were getting all sorts of diseases.
Like berry,
right?
Weird
Because
diseases.
they didn't have the nutritional value of it.
Yeah. So definitely whole food, and he makes the point. This doctor makes the point that starch is clean fuel, and that it doesn't grow human pathogens, which I thought was really interesting. Like it doesn't grow salmonella.
Right.
Like if real food plants have salmonella on them, he said it's because somebody doo-dooed on it.
Right.
It
fell into dung or something. Yes.
Yeah. So bread, if it's whole grain bread, it's still processed because you've ground it and you've baked it, but it doesn't mean it's bad. I'm really working on trying to make my own bread. I'm failing at it. I'm trying. So the other point is that starch doesn't have cholesterol. It's low in fat, and it's full of fiber, which makes it very satisfying. You can eat as much of it as you want because basically you get full and you're like, oh, can't eat any more of that.
Right.
So
and he talks about the two athletes that they put for 60 days, fed them nothing but potatoes.
Just straight potatoes.
Right, for 60 days, and they thrived off of it.
And he talks there's another one out there called the Con all potato diet. That's CON, all potato diet.
Right.
Apparently they decided to try it. And he makes the point, if potatoes made you fat and didn't make you healthy, the Irish wouldn't exist. They lived on potatoes.
Right.
So
that was funny, yeah.
I thought that was interesting. So, we eat a lot of sweet potatoes.
We do.
Just because they have more antioxidants
Regular
in
potatoes
them.
too.
But we have regular potatoes. I tend to blend them. I mix sweet potatoes. I made shepherd's pie.
She's a mad scientist, folks.
I made a shepherd's pie this weekend, and it's half sweet potatoes, half regular potatoes on
Right.
top of it. I'll be posting pictures. I already posted pictures of the quinoa soup that I made with the recipe.
It's awesome.
And it turned out really, really well.
Yeah.
So that's on the R&R Journey page, is the recipe and the pictures of the quinoa soup that I made.
It's probably more stew than soup, but still awesome.
I fail at making soup
She
because
doesn't
I don't
like
like
it
it to be
liquid.
runny.
Yeah.
And so I make it thick to begin with, and then when it sets and everything gets to soak up the liquid, it gets
becomes
thicker.
stew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stew.
It's
It
still
is.
good.
But it's really yummy.
Right. It's like your taco soup.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's chili.
I try. I fail at making soup, but it's still yummy, and it's really good for you. So I think what I like to do is I like to start looking at barley and seeing how we can add barley to our diet. That's something we don't eat currently.
Right. I see it. I just never really look at it seriously.
Well, I have to do some research and find some recipes. So if any of you have whole food plant-based recipes that have barley in them, I'd love to see them. Chuck sent a picture yesterday. He made a pasta with tomatoes and stuff in it. He said he's going to have it for lunch, and that's the ideal thing, is you can make these foods in big quantities and eat them. Like we'll be eating that soup and that shepherd's pie all week.
All week.
So that's what we'll be doing. Yeah. So I definitely want to start looking into barley and beans. And he also makes the point, this doctor made the point that, people say, oh, eating healthy is expensive. Rice and beans and barley and that kind of thing, cheap, really cheap.
Right.
So we, I think, spend less on food now than we did before.
And what's a comparison he did? I think he took 2,500 calories.
He did.
And he went and he said they went to fast food restaurants and seen how much it would cost to buy 2,500 calories worth of food. And on average, and these are Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King type of places.
The big name places.
Right. $14 to get 2,500 calories. Right. Then he looked at whole food plant-based diet, and it was like $3.
With starch as the main source.
Right. $3.
$3
So
a day.
not only does it beat fast food as far as cost, it's way healthier for you, obviously.
Yep. And you don't need permission to eat it. Like you can just decide that you're going to start eating rice and beans and barley, and it's good for you.
And there's no guilt behind eating it.
And you don't have to do the fasting that we do. Like we do the fasting and the working out and all of that, but you don't have to do all of that.
Right. And I would ask anybody out there that will occasionally eat fast food, if they eat it with the thought in their mind of, I'm going to go eat a nutritious meal, or do they go and buy it with the thought that, I know it's not the best for me, but I'm in a hurry, so I'm just going to go ahead and have it.
Right.
Because think about that first thought. I know it's not good for me, however.
Right.
And that's...
And I said last week, we all know fruits and vegetables are good for us. We know this. This isn't news.
Right. So how many people have gone to the steakhouse and bought the steak with all the sides and eaten the steak and left the sides and said to yourself,
I know
I should eat that. However, I'd rather eat the steak.
Right, exactly.
So it's kind of funny.
So again, the name of the lecture was the Starch Solution. It was on YouTube. Very interesting, but also very scientifically dense.
Did he do How Not to Die too? Is it the same doctor?
Different doctor.
Different doctor,
yeah. But so very interesting, the Starch Solution. I would recommend it if you're interested in more than just what we give you here. To go and watch that. It's rice and beans are cheap, squash are cheap. It's good for you. Eat them.
Right, exactly.
And interesting, we wanted to let you guys know we will be back this evening at 6 o'clock with our fasting day meal because we're going to have a guest. We have a guest. A woman named Monique who is even more extreme than we are when it comes to this kind of thing, is going to be joining us. Rush's phone is ringing. He cannot let it ring. He's just got to go see what it is. It's not important. But so Monique will be joining us, and she's going to be sharing her experience with clean eating and fasting, and we might talk about sleep a little bit because somebody mentioned that on their fasting days they were having trouble sleeping, and she knows a lot about sleep. She said to me, sleep is my jam. So we may talk about that, but we'll be back at 6 with Russ and I and our fasting day meal, and Monique. So
we're going to fit 3 people into this screen.
We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Right.
So do come back, or if you don't get to see it at 6, plan on popping back into the R&R journey and watching it, because I think that'll be really interesting to have her here.
Correct.
So did you have anything you wanted to add about the Starch Solution?
No, I think we covered it all for now.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's always good to see you, and we'll see you again tonight for sure.
And with that, we will say, eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. Have a great day,
Have a good Monday, guys. We'll see you later.